friends, 2 time zones, and a shared love of stories.
I'm Freya.
And I'm Jamie.
Bridging time zones 1 chapter at a time.
Welcome to Once Upon a Time Zone. Hello everyone, welcome back to Once Upon a Time Zone. Today we are recording episode 10. How did that happen?
It's gone so fast.
I know, I feel like we've only just started doing this podcast, but yeah, we are on episode 10 and we are doing a fun one today where Freya and I are actually going to disagree a little bit today because usually
it happens rarely.
Yes, you guys know the theme of us and our reading journeys is that we usually agree on things. Like we usually have very, very similar taste and everything, but today we are going to disagree. We are going to actually talk about all of the books where we have somewhat significantly different ratings. Like we just don't agree on them for whatever reason, and we're gonna figure out why. But first of all, we of course need to do our current reads. And Freya, I know everyone else doesn't know this yet, but you just had a little vacation, so I want to know what you've been reading as you've been enjoying your warm weather in your Australian winter getaway.
Oh my gosh, winter doesn't exist in some parts of Australia, which is nice. It's great for me. It means I can have summer vacations in winter without leaving the country. So I actually got so much reading done over there. I read 3 books, which was so nice.
Ooh.
One of them was Rewind It Back, which is the last book in the Windy City series. I loved it. I was not expecting it. I was expecting just a fun little sports romance. Loved it so much. And then I texted you on this. I ended up reading The Nightingale. By complete coincidence, the people we were staying with had it there and they were like, I really want you to read it. And I was like, oh, if you insist. It was, oh my gosh. I want to cry thinking about it. I genuinely am heartbroken.
So good. It's not really a vacation read though, is it?
It really isn't. I think the fact that I was in the sun kind of helped me not get so depressed over it, because if I was reading this in the rain at home in the cold, I think I would have just not stopped crying all day.
That's true. On one hand, I feel like a lot of people, you would say that it's kind of like a fall winter read because that's when you want to get kind of deep, not cozy, but kind of deep into these historical fictions. But then, it makes sense that if you read it in sunshine, it actually helps balance your mood at the same time. So either way.
It really did. It was just, oh my gosh. It was also my first Kristin Hannah book, so amazing. I loved her writing and everything, so I'm excited to delve into her books now.
Yay.
And then I read another thriller, but at the moment, I wanted to talk to you about this one. I'm reading Silvercloak, which is by an author, I think it's L.K. Stevens, but it's actually Laura Stevens.
Yes.
Which I had no idea. And at the moment, I am having so much fun. I'm not quite halfway through, but literally so much fun. We have magic wands. I haven't read a fantasy book with magic wands in I don't know how long. So
I don't think I have either. Oh.
Right? I know. I'm here for it.
Okay, yeah, I keep hearing really good things about that. I actually keep getting DMs and comments being you need to read Silvercloak.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I'm like,
oh my gosh, okay.
Maybe I will then.
I'll let you know how it ends up. It's really good at the moment and I'm really liking all of our characters. So good start. What are you currently reading?
Okay, so I am currently reading Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I'm diving back into sci-fi, and this book has been so hyped up for me. So hyped up. Every time I post anything, I'm oh, I got this book, or it's on my TBR. So much excitement, which is wonderful. I love I feel like everyone's just hyping me up for this read, and I am on page 300 something right now. And it's so good. It's so good.
Oh,
I have been so blown away by sci-fis this past year, and it's so surprising to me because I've always been I'm not really a sci-fi person. I'm more of a fantasy person. But it's so good, and I can't even tell you what it's about because it would spoil things, because the whole concept of it is that you wake up, it's first person POV, you wake up as the protagonist and you're on a spaceship, but you have no idea why you're there. You don't even know your own name. You have no memory, amnesia trope.
That I was just about to say that's ticking all your boxes.
Yeah, I read the first page. I was like, does he not know who he is? I was like, yes, I am in immediately. But yeah, then you like slowly piece together who he is and you start learning things, and it's so good. It's also like oddly funny in kind of a subtle way, but like the protagonist, like his mind, he's just kind of like a little bit like sassy in a way, or like just the way he thinks is a little bit funny. You're talking about all these like serious space things, but then it's nice having like a little sense of humor to go along with things. And then it's starting to get kind of like emotional for me right now. I actually read a pretty significant part to this book that, if anyone has read this book before, like it is like devastating in a way, but I don't know if everything's going to be okay or not. But at this point, I'm just like, I want to get back to the book. Like, I want to like get this episode recording done and get back to this book, because I need to know what happens.
Oh my gosh. I will say, I feel like you're convincing me on sci-fi as well, because I've only read very few, and Red Rising was one of them. And I think you were the same, which made me feel so much better. Just wasn't obsessed with it. And because that is such a like high popular sci-fi series, I was like, oh, I guess I don't really like sci-fi. But now I'm like, do I try other sci-fi books? Do I get into that genre?
Yes, you do. You have to read this one. You have to read Recursion. Like, I feel like I need to see you read them. Like, I want to see you go through them.
I have been seeing, oh my gosh, all our comments on like the Instagram and the podcast and stuff has been like, Recursion, thank you for making me read it. And I'm like, I need to read this now.
Yes. No, you do. You need to do like a week of reading sci-fi and just like read these books.
I should. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll like go to the bookstore and just get like a bunch of sci-fi books and read it for a week. Video idea.
Yep. And this one, there's a movie being made that comes out in March, starring Ryan Gosling, and it's so funny.
Know that.
Yeah, because now like whenever I'm reading the book and like I'm like in Ryan Gosling's mind, I'm just like, I hear his voice, and like he's pretty good at delivering these kind of like funny lines. So like I can really see it fit this character, and like I just like picture him and see him like while I'm reading this. So I'm loving that, but also don't watch the movie trailer. I've been warned.
Okay, spoilers.
Apparently there's like a huge spoiler in the trailer, which is like kind of bizarre that they would do that. But like, I'm glad I actually like haven't watched the trailer, because I've seen it pop up, but I've just never clicked it. And I'm like, it's a good thing I've never clicked it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay. I'm inspired. I'm feeling inspired to go to the bookstore.
Yes. Let's get into our sci-fi era.
Before we jumped into this episode, I wanted to ask, what is your rating system? Would you say you're a harsh rater? Would you say you're pretty lenient, or has it like developed over your reading period?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I used to be really, really lenient. I used to give every single book a 5-star, literally. If I like finished a book, I'd be like, okay, 5 stars, like that's done. But I've definitely, gotten a little more harsh than that over the years. I feel like I'm fair. I think I'm like slightly average, but I do tend to round up versus down. Like if I'm gonna, because I guess technically if you're looking at like on a scale of a 5-star rating, technically 2.5 is the halfway point. So if you like read a book and you're like, that was fine. I feel like technically it should be 2.5, but for me that seems so mean. So like I would round that up to a 3. So I'm like a rounder upper.
No, that makes sense. I feel like 3 stars even is seen as like a bad book. And to me, by any means, that's not a bad book. That's just a good book. It didn't stand out to me.
Yeah, it's like I finished it. Yeah, I mean, I finished all books because I don't DNF. But like, it's like I read it. It was fine.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I feel like I'm similar. I feel like I used to just rate books bizarrely. Like if I didn't like it, I'd be like 1 star, when in reality it could have been like a 3-star. Like it wasn't bad by any means, but if I wasn't like having the best time ever reading it, I was like, no, this is bad, I'm just gonna rate it bad. And then same, I would just, if I liked it, I'd be like, great, 5 stars.
Yeah, it's like 1 or 5. It's like there's no in between.
Literally.
But I find myself these days rating a lot of books like 3.5 or 3.75. That is like probably where the majority of my ratings fall. So that's like my midpoint, I guess.
Okay. That's good to know before we go into this, to see our different ratings on things.
Yeah, well, I mean, the first book we're talking about, I rated a 2, so that means I really didn't enjoy this one.
That means it was below average.
Yes, yeah. So the first book we disagree on is Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. Freya rated this a 4, and I rated this a 2. What did you like about this?
Okay, first of all, I really like Ali Hazelwood's books. Like, I found that I do enjoy them. They're very, like, fun, kind of quick reads. I can't remember, because obviously on Goodreads, I usually round up when I'm rating, so I can't remember if this was a 3.75 or a 4, but I did have a really good time. I just thought the characters had really good chemistry, and I didn't really go into this with any expectations. I know a lot of people, they kind of marketed this in a very strange way.
Yeah.
Being like, this is Ali Hazelwood's most like risky book and stuff, and I didn't really see any of that marketing. I just got the book and read it, and I also loved like the whole diving and swimming aspect of it. I liked having something that wasn't like a STEM romance from Ali Hazelwood. I found that really fun. Honestly, literally just found it like a fun romance, and I really liked their chemistry.
Okay.
But I've seen a lot of, like, I feel like I'm almost the minority in that decision, because a lot of people I've seen this is like their least favorite Ali Hazelwood. So let me know your thoughts. What was going on?
So this one wasn't my least favorite Ali Hazelwood. That spot belongs to Not in Love, which I think I gave like a 1 star. But okay, when I went into this book, I wasn't expecting great things, because I had already seen like what other people kind of thought about it. But like, I didn't really like watch other reviews or read other reviews. I just was seeing like the star ratings start coming in, and I was like, oh, people don't really like this one very much. But I wanted to go in with like a clear mind and like make my own opinion about it. So I went into it expecting something quite spicy. I mean, like from the cover, from the fact that it was like originally called Wet, like like you go in expecting things. And then also I did hear that there were like the characters were into BDSM and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, this is something that I've never read before and is going to be probably spicier than I prefer. But then we have the whole diving and swimming aspect, and I love diving. I love diving. I'm like, that is so much fun. So I kind of had these like very mixed, like, I don't know, expectations going into it. I was like, I'm going to love the diving, but I'm going to hate the BDSM. And then from like where it was going with like the whole BDSM plot, it held a lot of promise for me, because like the way I saw it going was like there was going to be a lot of psychology in this book, because our main character, she was getting like over, what is it, like the twisties? That's like the gymnastics version of the term. I always forget the diving version, but it's like when you get lost in the air, or like you like can't get over your fear of diving. So she was getting like over that, and she was seeing like the sports counselor or whatever, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be interesting. And then like with BDSM, there's like a lot of psychology that goes into that too. So I was like, oh, great, we're gonna explore the mind with all these topics. And then I forgot that this is a romance book and not like a fiction. So then, that kind of skewed my expectations. And then because we didn't go into the psychology of things, and then because I think a lot of those like issues with like the diving and the fear of it were kind of resolved in like a nothing way. It was like, okay, now that's just gone. I didn't really like it.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, what you've said isn't even that negative. I was waiting for you to like pull out something really bad to just say. Like, I was ready for it, and I feel like those are all just like, I don't know. It did, like, I didn't even think of the psychology aspect of things, honestly.
Yeah.
That didn't even cross my mind. I was just happy that we had a little bit of emotional depth to our character.
Yeah, I mean,
because I find in so many romances that's like not the case.
Yeah, I think it was like the promise of like something that could have been so great. Like, even like, we got hints of like deeper characters and deeper things going on with these romance characters. But then I was like, because we got that hint, I wanted it to like really get into it. And then it was just like giving you like the little taste, and it was like, okay, that's it. We're going to go back to romance. So yeah, I think it was more, I was just bored while reading this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I like hated it like I hated Zodiac Academy, but that's like my benchmark of like hating books.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just very bored. It like didn't meet my expectations of what I wanted it to be.
Okay,
That's
honestly, fair. I was expecting like Zodiac Academy level dislike, but no, I think that's fair. Honestly, I know that like the reasons I've seen a lot of people not like it is because they were like kind of let down in a sense from what it was marketed as.
Yeah, like not spicy enough.
It was quite spicy, but I think when you go in with like crazy expectations, it wasn't anything super intense to me. I thought, at least for now, like it seems like a very normal Ali Hazelwood book. Like she always has a bit of spice in her books.
Yeah, and like as someone who doesn't love spice, it was like fine. Like just like okay,
yeah, same.
That's just Ali Hazelwood.
Whatever. The next book is a little bit of a swing in the different direction. Ninth House. Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I rated this one a 3 stars and Jamie rated it a 5 stars, which honestly is a rare rating from you.
I love this book so much.
Let me know your thoughts.
Well, I mean, dark academia. I mean, I love.
Yeah.
Yale, like the setting being at Yale, I also love. This like the old like Gilmore Girls like fan in me being like anything to do with Yale. Although Yale's very depicted very differently in this compared to in Gilmore Girls.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. I really loved like the whole secret society thing. I also loved how I couldn't really tell like what was real and what was not real. I think because I don't know that much like real world lore of like the secret societies of Yale. Like I know they obviously exist. You know, they're real entities that like you kind of hear of. I don't know if you hear about them in Australia, but like in North America, we do hear about them.
I feel like they're not as common. I have heard of them though, but I'm just trying to remember if that's through like show, like literal American TV that I've heard them through, or if it's like something,
They're so like I don't know, they're so mysterious. They're these things that you're like, oh, you always hear about these secret societies, but you don't really know that much about them. And so reading this, I was like, it was hard for me to like distinguish the line between fiction and reality because I think there were a lot of like real facts about the secret societies in this book. Yeah. But then also obviously we've twisted it in with fictional characters and with like literal like magic and demons and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed, like it felt so immersive in that way. I did feel at some points overwhelmed a little bit with like all the information and like all the different secret societies and like knowing, like having to know all those facts. But at the end, I really loved this one. I thought it was really good.
Yeah. No, totally fair enough. The main reason I loved the atmosphere of it. I loved the academy setting, like the Yale setting, everything like that, secret societies, loved that aspect of it. I just think I went in with completely different expectations because obviously Leigh Bardugo, one of my like favorite authors, I love her Grishaverse. And I think I went in with a very YA expectation. And the themes in this were very, very dark. And I purely think it was the time I was reading that. I was just like, this is hard to deal with at the moment. Like there was some really intense themes and I probably should have looked up trigger warnings beforehand, to be honest, just so I like knew going in, and then I think I would have been fine. Yeah. But there was some like dark themes going on and I think it just threw me a bit. I think it just made me kind of be like, oh, I don't know how immersed in this book I want to be. Like
True.
So I kind of almost separated myself a little bit and just like finished it, you know, just because I didn't want to not finish it. Like I was intrigued in the story, but yeah, by the end of it, I just kind of felt like, what had I just read? That was not what I was expecting at all. And I don't know that I loved it. So like, yeah, 3 stars isn't like a bad rating. It just was not what I was expecting. And I think if I went in with a different mindset, I would have had a completely different experience.
Yeah, it's pretty dark. It's also like, it surprised me with the amount of like gore in it. Like it's pretty gross.
Yes, that's another thing. I am terrible with gore. I am so bad with gore. I can do like, you know, kind of the idea of like, I watch true crime and stuff all the time, like all that kind of stuff, but like they never actually show you gore. When like Throne of Games, good one.
Close enough.
Game of Thrones, like the pure reason I struggle with those books and the like TV show and stuff is because of the gore. Like it is too intense for me. So yeah, that was another reason. And also, yeah, didn't expect it to be so gory.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like I'm okay with reading gore. Watching gore is different for me, and it's not even the watching it, because I worked in visual effects. So, like, I know how, you know, this stuff works. I know it's not real. Like, because I've worked in visual effects for like 8 years. Like, I know. But it's more like the sounds, I think, that get to me. Like, the like, squishy.
Yeah, like the squish.
This was, like, surprisingly gory. Like, I wasn't expecting it from Leigh Bardugo. But then, like, since reading this one, and then also reading her, oh gosh, what was that other one? The Spanish one that she wrote?
The Familiar?
The Familiar,
Is that what it was called?
Yeah. Like, after reading that one too, I'm like, I realized Leigh Bardugo is quite a chameleon as an author as well. Because, like, yeah, she has the Grishaverse where everything kind of, like, is the same tone and is in the same world, but then you see, like, all her other books, it's like, oh yeah, she does have a range and she can do other stuff too, which is nice, but only when you expect it.
Yeah, exactly. I actually haven't read that one by her. Again, I just kind of was a little bit shocked from
You're like scarred.
And I was like, I'm just gonna stay in my little Grishaverse land. I'm just gonna stay with the little elemental magic.
So I'm guessing you haven't read Hellbent?
No.
You're just like, no. Do you plan on ever, or you're just like, no, this is not for me?
Look, I haven't, like, ruled it out. I honestly think if I went back into Ninth House and expecting what I am, like what I know, I think it would be a lot better. Because I love her writing and I love the way she crafts her worlds. I think and her characters always have so much depth to them. I love her as a writer. So I think if I knew the themes and I was in the right mood for this, I would have had a very different idea of if I liked it or not.
That's fair. Yeah, that makes sense. I also think Hellbent, personally, was not as good as Ninth House for me. It was still good, but it was not as good. But I know she's currently writing the third book, I think.
Oh, for some reason I thought it was a duology.
Me too, because it's been a duology for so long, and they always sell it in, like, the box set with just the two, but it is going to be a trilogy, and she is writing the next book, so there's going to be one more. So maybe I'll read the third one, and I'll get back to you, and then maybe that can be your deciding factor. Moving on to our next book, we're switching tones again.
We're just going, like...
We're up and down. But the next one is Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings, of course. So Freya rated this one a 4-star, and I rated this one a 2-star. Back at it with a 4 and 2. I mean, I feel like we've talked about this one a lot, but let everyone know your thoughts about the first Magnolia Parks.
If I'm separating the first one, because now the series has such, like, when you've read the last books in the series, like, you know more about your characters and why they act the way they do in the first book. So it's kind of hard to, like, separate the two.
Yeah.
So the characters in the first book, they did really, really bug me. They were so toxic and so dramatic, but honestly, to me, in the best way possible. It was pitched to me as, like, Gossip Girl. And so I went in expecting a lot of toxicity. And I think that really, really helped. And I'm a massive Gossip Girl fan. So I was just having a good time. And I found it super, super addictive. It was kind of like The Favorites in a way. Like, I was so mad at some of these characters. And I wanted to, like, pull them out of the book and just, like, slap sense into them. But at the same time, I could not put it down. And I was so invested. So, yeah, I think I rated it a 4-star, which is, like, lower. I think this is the lowest book in this series I rated because it made me so mad. But I love our characters. I was obsessed with, like, getting to know all our characters and just, like, getting to know why they act the way they do and the history behind our characters. Like, there was so much history and toxicity between every friendship and relationship. And it was just a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun reading it, but explain your side of things, because I think it can either go two ways reading this series.
Yeah, so I also did go into this knowing it was going to be, like, quite toxic, like, very Gossip Girly, which I was excited for. I was like, yeah, I'm here for it. Similar, to The Favorites. I was like, let's dive into this mess. And I was actually really, really liking this book for, like, the first, like, maybe third of it. Like, I was actually liking it. I was like, this is fun. It's messy. All these characters suck. But I think it just... This first one got too repetitive for me. I think like a lot of the stuff that was happening in the first one was just the same thing happening but on a different night and like with a slight variation. Like, you know, it was just like them going out and then like her catching, I don't want to say plot points, but like, you know, them getting into the same fight over and over and over and over and over and over again. And I just started getting so like frustrated at it, but in a bad way, where like in something like the favorites, I kept getting so frustrated, but like every time I got frustrated it was because of something different that happened. Like with this one, it was just the same frustration for the same fight, like for the same problems. And after like 500 pages of that, I was like, I do not want to read this anymore. And that was my main issue with the first one, like because I can see the potential, and I did see the potential, and that's why like I continued with the series, but it was just so repetitive. That was my main thing, just the repetition.
Yeah, honestly makes sense. That was the main thing that made me so angry as well, just like the same fight over and over, and I was like, I need you guys to just talk. I think it was the characters that did it for me. I was just like so hooked on the characters so quickly, and I was like, why are you like this? I need to know why you're like this. I need to know the history behind you.
Yeah, I liked the first bit, hated the middle, hated like the last bit, but then that last part obviously, you know, like kind of gets you back into it. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll continue. And I mean, it's good I continued because like I ended up loving it by the end, but it took a long time to get there for me. Like it literally took all of the books for me until the very end.
I feel like you're the only person I know who it's taken that long. I know some people who it's taken like, you know, till Long Way Home, like the third book or something like that. But you're the only one who it's taken the entire series.
I stuck by it though.
Oh yeah, this is a good series. You did, and that is impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I had all the books, I think. I like pre-bought them all very early, which is like sometimes like the biggest mistake of my life, but sometimes I'm like, it just forces me to keep going. So I guess it's a good thing I had them all.
All right, should we move on to the next one? I feel like I have explaining to do with this one. This is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. I rated this a 2-star and Jamie rated this a 5-star. I will say, I genuinely forgot I read this until I saw it on the podcast transcript because I was like, oh, I read that when I was like 15 because my mum had it and she was like, this is a really good book, Freya. You should read it. I think you'll like it. Because I was kind of reading, like getting into thrillers then, and mum pitched it to me as a thriller. I feel like it's not really that much of a thriller, but anyway. And I just remember being so bored this entire book and just being, what am I reading? And being like, I want to go back to my fantasies. Why am I? It was purely just me having a little like hate moment. I would be very interested to read this again because I think obviously I'd have a whole different perspective, but I, from memory, just didn't like it because of how slow moving it was. And I wasn't invested in the kind of small mystery. Like there's a mystery. No, that's a big part of it. There's a mystery, but I feel like there's a lot going on at the same time. Like I think there's a lot from memory of kind of character development. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's an interesting one.
And I just remember not liking the characters.
Oh, yeah, it's an interesting one because, yeah, it's like you start off introducing this, like, big mystery, and instead of just, like, diving purely into that mystery, we, like, go back and then, like, meet all of our characters and kind of, like, retrace everyone's steps, but not even in, like, a very mystery way, like, more in just, like, a character development way. Also, like, a relationship way as well. Like, you get into, like, bonds and connections with various people, and it's just like it's kind of a vibesy book. Like it's very vibes.
I was about to say, I think it's very much the atmosphere and the mood, and I think that's why if I was to reread it now, very very different opinions to when I was 15. And I also haven't watched the movie for that reason because I kept telling myself, no, I want to read the book and like remember what happened and remember, like, so I can actually make a comparison. Have you watched the movie of this?
Yes, and I do love the movie, like both movie and book. Yeah. Very good adaptation.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
What is it with Reese Witherspoon did it, didn't she? Like she was part of the production, I think.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
And she also did Daisy Jones. And I don't know if she's done any other ones, but she has done an excellent job.
Yeah,
Like,
she did.
Daisy Jones was incredible.
She did, what is it? Is it called Big Little Lies? I always forget what that one's called.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
She
I
did
haven't
that one
watched that
too.
one, though.
That one's good too. But yeah, I think she just like, because she's a big reader, like she loves books. So I think like she just knows, and she obviously has a lot of like film experience and like knows what works for film. So like she's just the perfect combination of being an actual book lover and probably actually loving the books that she's adapting. And then yeah, because I feel like a lot of people like adapt books to film without actually reading the books, and I'm like, what? Like, where,
or just
where
kind
did
of
this come from?
getting the idea of them and being like, great, let's put it on screen.
Yeah, let's take this and run. Go.
So how come you rated it a 5 stars?
I mean, it's one of those things. Like, I read this one again, like kind of similar to you. I read it so long ago, but I loved it when I read it so long ago.
Yeah.
So I can't really remember the specifics of why I loved it, but I did love the mystery part of it. I did love kind of the slow moving, like it's kind of a coming of age story because we follow our like main character Kaya, like we follow her from like when she was a child to when she's like a young adult. So you see her as she grows up, and I love coming of age stories, and I really like how this one was done.
Yeah.
I also think the setting was very like, yeah, it was very atmospheric, like it's very marshy. And then I think like for me, the flipping back and forth between like mystery and then like just like general fiction kind of worked really well for me. I don't know what it was about it. Like it kind of like left us on cliffhangers in like little subtle ways. I think it was one of those stories where like something would happen and it wouldn't even directly like correlate to the mystery that had happened, but something would happen. You'd be like, oh, maybe he did it then. And then like the next chapter you would like learn something else and be like, oh, like maybe that person did it. I don't know. It was like very like subtle shifts like throughout the whole book. Like it wasn't one of those thrillers or mysteries that gives you like a huge plot twist and it's like jaw dropping, like jaw to the floor. But it was more just like subtly like moving your way through. I thought like the pacing and like everything worked really well.
I definitely want to. I feel like this is my excuse for everything. I want to reread it.
Well, now we've talked about it.
I want to reread it. I know. Yeah. Now it's kind of intriguing me a little bit more. But I will say it still doesn't intrigue me as much as like say Project Hail Mary. Like it's definitely one that I'm kind of like, oh, I'll get to it eventually. But you know, it's not quickly grasping my attention.
Fair
I mean,
enough.
probably because I know the answer to the mystery. But anyway.
Yeah, I actually had someone, like I'm not an audiobook listener, but I had someone recommend to me rereading books through audiobooks. So
that's a good idea.
yeah, so even like you could listen to little chunks at a time. It's not like you even have to like, you know, listen or read it in like one sitting. You could just like tackle it slowly, like if you're like doing chores, you can kind of put it on and like have it on in the background, which I think would work very well for rereads because those are obviously books you've read before, so you just need like, you're just reliving it again.
Because I feel like we've talked about that before. Our main problem with audiobooks being the fact that we get distracted whilst I think the only time I can listen to audiobooks is if I'm just going on a big walk. Otherwise, if I'm doing like cleaning the house, whatever, I kind of am listening to it without actually listening to it. And then they'll say something and I'll be like, how did we get here?
Yeah. Where when a reread, like that wouldn't matter so much because you've already read it before.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea.
We have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder next by Holly Jackson. Now, our ratings for this one aren't like that different, but I feel like our overall takeaways from this one are different. So Freya rated this one a 4. I rated this one a 3, but she continued the series and I didn't. So why did you love this one?
I think this was one of the first YA thrillers I had read, and I had a really fun time. I will say the ending kind of brought it down a little bit for me. I was like, oh, okay. I was kind of expecting something a little bit more. But I did really like Pip as a character. I really liked her little detective skills. It kind of reminded me of like what I wanted to do when I was in high school doing group projects or whatever. So I think I just really liked her as a character. And I just had a fun time. And I think I was on a vacation at this point and I just was like, you know what, let's just read this series. And it was good. Honestly, the third one, it got weirdly dark. So I think you probably stopped at a good point. Like, not like dark, but for a YA book, it was kind of a bit more intense than you would expect. So if you didn't love the first one, I think that's my favorite. I wouldn't say that it gets better throughout the series. I just had a fun time reading it. I liked following Pip on her little murder mystery situation. I was quite invested as well. I was on like kept like guessing who was doing it.
That's so funny. It sounds like we had very similar experiences with this one, like similar thoughts while reading it, but I think like the ending of it, maybe like you just didn't count as much of that into your score than I did.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because like, yeah, similar thing. Like I was actually really enjoying it for like most of the way through. Like it was a fun YA thriller time, and like, yeah, I liked like the little detective work. You could see like her notes from what I remember. Like she would write notes and like it would be kind of like in illustrated form in the book almost. And I was like, yeah, like piecing together clues, and I was like being a whole detective. But then the ending was just like so bizarre, but not in a good way. Like it was kind of predictable, but also came out of nowhere at the same time. And I was like, this is just a little too crazy for me. When you have to like suspend your disbelief when you're reading books, like I get that. Like I read fantasy, obviously I get that. But like with this, I was like, I cannot suspend my disbelief far enough to like accept this in this book. And so I was like, no. And I honestly, like, after I finished reading this one, I wasn't like just immediately like writing the rest of the series off, but I had people tell me that the rest of the books like got even more ridiculous than this first one. So that's kind of what helped me make my mind. I'm like, if that's what I didn't like about the first one, then I probably won't like the other ones.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. The ending, it almost felt like it was there to try and create this bizarre plot twist that you would never see coming. And it felt a little bit left field. You were kind of like, okay. But yeah, I think I just kind of was like, oh, well, I'm just going to look past that and continue the series.
Whatever.
It wasn't,
fun.
it didn't, I think, bother me as much as that. Like, it was bizarre. And I was kind of like, why? Like, I feel like this person would have made more sense or whatever. Like, this doesn't really make a lot of sense. But I just kind of didn't think about it too much, I think, which was probably the only way you would continue the series.
Just vibes. Yeah. Did you watch the show for this one?
Yeah. Did you?
No. What was that about?
I didn't love it. I started it and I really liked it because I really liked the cast. But then I was like, I'm not obsessed with this. I think there were better people. Okay, number one, the accents. Oh my gosh. The English accents were so bad. A lot of the actors, I think, were American. I don't know why. I don't know whether they'd filmed it in America and just like, you know, wanted to, because it's obviously set in England. Yeah, I'm not sure whether, and it just felt very like kind of cheaply made as well. So I don't know. It wasn't awful by any means, but I just think I had a little bit more expectations because I was thinking this could have been translated to screen really good because it was just a fun time.
Yeah.
But yeah, wouldn't recommend running to watch it.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I was kind of like open to watching it because I'm like, if I didn't love the books, maybe I could watch the show as like a fun time. But yeah, I don't think I've heard like great things about it.
All right. The next one, this is another just full on swing in the different direction. Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I'm pretty sure I read this for a high school text as well. But I rated this a 2 stars and Jamie rated it a 3 stars. Now, we're not like getting down on classics because we love classics. But I found this quite boring and I think that was the main reason. But in saying that, love the show. Like love the movie of it with oh my god, Keira Knightley.
Keira Knightley, yeah. Both just drew blanks there.
Absolutely loved the movie version of it. I think because it just felt a little bit more fast paced and I think that was my main thing. This felt very dragged out. I can see the relevance of it and everything, but as a book, I found it a little bit boring.
Yeah, so I don't know why this one made it onto our list actually to talk about today because I feel like our ratings are very different.
We probably...
Why did we put this on the list?
We probably have very similar thoughts. I don't know. I mean, they're like slightly different, but we probably have similar thoughts.
Yeah, so you rated this one a 2. I rated this one a 3, but I also like didn't really love this one. Like for me, rating this a 3, I think that was a generous 3 on my side. I think I was kind of like, ooh, like it's a classic. I can't rate it low. Like I kind of felt peer pressured to like inflate my rating a little bit on this one, to be honest, because when I read this, I think I was just like a nicer reviewer. But if I reviewed this now, I'd probably also give it a 2. It's like I love the story, obviously, because I love like the movie version of it, and I love the vibes, I love the characters, I love the progression of the story, but like the writing style, I couldn't get behind. I think a lot of it was Jane Austen's sense of humor didn't come across to me in her writing, and maybe I was just reading it incorrectly, but then when I saw her writing being adapted into the film, like there were a lot of like joke moments or like funny moments that were in the book, but I didn't read them in the book as funny moments. So I just like didn't get it. Like I just didn't understand it. I also, because they're all named Bennett, right? Because like that's their family name. So in the book, I swear there were so many scenes where like the whole family was gathered and it was like Miss Bennett, Miss Bennett, Miss Bennett, and everyone just kept referring to everyone as Miss Bennett. And like sometimes I could tell with the context who they were referring to, but I'm like, there were so many times where I was like, I don't know who's talking to who. I don't know which Miss Bennett is talking and which Miss Bennett they're talking to. Like there was just a lot of confusion in this one for me. So it was a rough read for me. And like it could be like I'm just not like very well versed in classics, to be honest. And I just don't know how to read this style of writing. It was kind of confusing.
It really was. And I think those confusing aspects definitely like took me out of it a little bit more, even though I already was. And I think you're right, because she's got such a very serious tone almost in her writing, or it's not even serious. I don't know how to describe it, but it's definitely not humorous. So when she does like have those little humorous aspects to it or makes little jokes, you kind of just skim past. You just don't really like
it doesn't register in your brain like, oh, she just made a joke. Because you're not, like, expecting it. Yeah. And, like, you don't realize it. And it's like, oh, that was kind of a weird thing to say. But then, like, not knowing it was a joke.
Okay, yeah, well, our thoughts are clearly pretty similar on that one.
Yeah, I don't know.
But the next one, speaking of classics, Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. This one's a bit of a difference. I rated this one a 5 stars, and Jamie rated it a 3 stars. So you have the mic.
I have the pink mic. This is another one that I love the story, I guess. If there's not that much of a story, to be honest, but I love like
there really isn't.
I love the trope. Like the yearning trope it goes hard in this one. And I do actually, I love the movie. This is another one. Love the movie. Didn't really love the book. For me, it was a pacing issue. I think the writing in this one was stunning. Beautiful. Like, you can't argue that this writing is just like, it's so good. But like with the things that were happening in the plot, quote unquote, I didn't know where we were at a lot of times in this book. Like, I think there were some like weird time jump moments or like just things that were not explained. And I'm a very like, I like to read a good plot. So this one didn't really do it for me in terms of pacing, but the writing was beautiful. Like if I read this book as just like a poetry book or, you know, just like for the writing, loved it. But like, where was the story?
No, you're so right. There was like no plot. And I feel like the reason I loved it so much was, again, the writing, beautiful. The Roaring Twenties, like his depiction of the Roaring Twenties and on like the parties and everything like that, I absolutely loved. I also very much loved, like I annotated this and everything. I loved like the metaphors that we use, like the bigger overarching metaphors that were kind of present throughout the whole book and everything like that. There wasn't much of a plot though. Like, and I feel like it was more like a character study, a comment on society in the 20s of the American dream, everything like that. It was almost like a comment on that. And you're right, almost like an essay or a lyrical essay maybe than a story. And it was good that it was so short, because I think if it was much longer, I probably wouldn't have enjoyed it as much. But I just loved the atmosphere.
The length of this book was wonderful. And I do think
250 pages.
Yeah, it's tiny. It's just a little thing. But yeah, I do think like for me it worked better on screen format because you see more of the environment I think somehow, like, the movie was very close to the book, like, in terms of the plot.
Yeah.
It was almost, like, exact.
I think it was, like, one of the best book to movie adaptations I've seen, I think.
Yeah, but for some reason, it just, like, the non-existent plot worked better in the movie than the book for me.
No, I think it's, like, the characters were so central in the movie. And, I mean, we also had such a great cast. Like, the cast was good. So, good job whoever adapted that. I can't even remember who directed and produced that one. But
Me neither. Okay, moving on. We are switching gears again. We're on a fairy smut. We're going to be talking about ACOWAR by Sarah J Maas, the third book in the ACOTAR series. I rated this a 5. Freya rated this a 3. Let me know your thoughts.
Okay, I feel like we all know by now I'm just not as big a Sarah J Maas fan. And I didn't love the first book. I feel like that's pretty common. Like, you're not as obsessed with the first book as the rest of them. I really liked the second book. Again, pretty common. This one just... I think Freya kind of annoyed me in this one. Her whole attitude was a little bit annoying. And I did really like how it kind of felt like a little conclusion for then, because I think when I read this, the fourth book hadn't come out yet. So it felt like a mini little conclusion, and I think it kind of wrapped the few strings that were loose. Like, obviously there's kind of other ones that were picked up on later, but like the main kind of conflict, let's say, was wrapped up in a really good way. But it was purely Freya who annoyed me. And having other characters kind of be more present in this book as well, some of them also really annoyed me. I won't say for spoiler reasons, but yeah, there was just many characters that really annoyed me. But the actual plot I really enjoyed. I thought it wrapped up this kind of first part of the series really well.
I thought this one was amazing. I thought it was so good. I think it was like, out of like the first 3 books, it was definitely the most like high fantasy. Like, it was the most political fantasy out of them, which I loved. So we kind of like build up in the first 2 books to this point in the third one, where it's kind of a conclusion to like the first main trilogy of this series. So you obviously have like a lot of those like more like high tension moments, bigger picture fantasy moments, which I loved in this one. I think there were so many like iconic moments in this book too, and we definitely saw a lot more of like a wider cast in this one compared to the other ones. And although some characters I can agree were annoying in this one, there were some other characters that like stepped up that I absolutely loved and have become like some of my favorite characters in this world. So I loved this one. It's my favorite in the series. I honestly think it's because it was the one that mostly resembled like a high fantasy. The other ones are like a little bit more like romantic. And this one was the most just like fantasy.
I think, yeah. And I think just as a whole, I don't connect to the series as much as you do. I think you like connect to the series as a whole and the characters and stuff, whether it's when the main protagonist annoys you, it's a little bit like it takes me out of it a little bit. Yeah. And I will say, I think I've read so many worst protagonists and I don't know what it is that takes me out, but I think it's just because there is such a big fandom behind this that when I say I don't like it, it feels like such a big thing to say.
That's fair, but it's not like you didn't like it. It's like it's just not your favorite.
I think I actually rated this closer to a 4, but like obviously Goodreads, I think it was like a 3.5 or something. Yeah,
you got a round somewhere.
Yeah, the next and last series we're going to be talking about today is, well, it's the first book in a series, Quicksilver by Callie Hart. The second book I believe comes out quite soon actually. I gave this a 4 stars and Jamie gave this a 2 stars. So a bit of a difference in opinions. Mm-hmm. What were your thoughts whilst reading this?
Oh, goodness. Okay, so I mean, I read this in the same week that I read Zodiac Academy, so it was not a great week for me. Which one did I read first? I think I read Quicksilver first, and I gave it like a 1.5, and then I read Zodiac Academy, and then I disliked Zodiac Academy more than I disliked Quicksilver, so I gave Zodiac Academy a 1, and then I rounded Quicksilver up to a 2, because I'm like, well, I guess Quicksilver wasn't that bad compared to Zodiac Academy. So that was my thinking there. I wanted to love this one. I think there was a lot of potential in this one with the magic, especially with like the alchemy that was happening. I was really interested in that, and I was like, yes, alchemy, I'm here for it. But then the alchemy didn't end up actually being anything. Like, we didn't even go into it. It was just so simple. And I'm like, but alchemy is not simple. Like, the whole concept of alchemy is complex. It's like scientific, it's like chemistry. It was just very simplified, and we didn't dive deep at all into it. I also think the main character was very, very annoying. And the love interest, not only is his name the word for a bird, and I could not get a literal picture of like a woodpecker out of my head every time he appeared on the page. I just really did not like him. I did not like the things he was saying to her. This romance was very bully romance to me. I think it was like the second I think this line is like very out there on the internet, so I don't think this is a spoiler, but like there was that moment where he was like, yeah, I can find you from like the scent of your arousal.
Yeah.
I was out.
That one definitely pulled me out of it. Yeah.
I was done. I was like, I can't do this. I kept reading it for the fantasy element because I was like, okay, yeah, like there's somewhat of a fun fantasy story going on. But then I also felt like by the end of it, it just felt like every single fantasy creature and trope was just being thrown into this one. Like every single trope. I cannot think of a single fantasy trope that was not in this book. It just became too much. Like, I think if we cut this book off at like 400 pages and just kept it to like one cohesive story, it wouldn't have been as bad for me. But like by the end of it, I was just like, okay, what else are we going to throw into this?
So true. Honestly, all very valid points, I think.
Yeah. What did you like about this one?
I went into this with super low expectations for some reason. I think in my head, I thought this was like more of a dark fantasy romance, which I wouldn't say it is, but in my head, that's what it was. Maybe it was the cover. I don't know. And I had just gone in with like super low expectations thinking I was not going to enjoy this. And whilst, oh my gosh, that name Kingfisher, just anything else Fisher would have been okay, just not Kingfisher. Actually, no, Fisher would have just not been great either. Anyway, I will say the characters I struggled to enjoy. There was like one character I liked. Yeah. But I did really like the world. I wish there was a little bit more on the alchemy side of things, but I did really just have a fun time. To me, this is just like a classic kind of romantasy though. It just, you have a very basic magic system. You have quite basic politics. They were there, which was, I appreciated because not all romantases have politics like that.
True.
And so I think I just had, I had fun reading it because it was just a very basic kind of, I don't think I would rate it a 4. I think I rated it like a 3.75 and rounded it up, which is still pretty similar. But yeah, I think I just went in with such low expectations and was surprised by how much I was enjoying the plot and the politics. And once I looked past, I didn't love the love story. That was the main part that I didn't really connect to at all. Or I was rooting for someone else. But anyway, I thought it was a fine, easy, very basic, there was a lot of tropes, so very kind of predictable romantasy.
Yeah.
And I think going into it with such low expectations really helped me enjoy it a lot more. If I went into this thinking I was going to have a 5-star read, I think I would have been quite disappointed. But on the whole, I had a fun time reading it and I couldn't fault too much.
Okay. Yeah. And so you will be reading the sequel. It'll be a fun time for you,
hopefully. I will. I'm actually kind of intrigued by what happened. Like, the more the politics side of things, I'm kind of intrigued what's going to go on from there. Not really the characters as much.
Well, that was a fun little dive into books that we disagree on.
It was a very refreshing kind of episode, honestly. No, I like these episodes. Maybe we'll keep them coming they're pretty rare though. We had to you deep dived into the Goodreads history for this one.
I did. I had to stalk through your Goodreads and find the rare books we disagreed on.
I was like, I don't think I read that one in 5 years.
Might take a couple years for us to come up with another list of books we disagree on. But, when the time comes, we could do another one of these. Okay, but if you are here listening to the end, thank you for being here. Thanks for listening wherever you are in the world or whatever time zone you're in.
Until next time, stay comfy and keep reading.
Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on socials for more bookish content.
Bye. Thanks for watching.